Okay, so picture this, guys. It was a perfect summer afternoon at my lake cabin. The kind where the sun's just kissing the water, birds are chirping, and you're in your own little world, you know? I had my headphones on, jamming to some Taylor Swift, pushing the lawnmower like I owned the place. Life was good. Until BAM, out of nowhere, these two dudes show up in what looked like cop uniforms, straight up yelling, "Ma'am, stop right there. You're in violation of HOA bylaws." I nearly jumped out of my skin. My first thought? Did I accidentally mow over some secret billionaire's rose garden? But no. Turns out, these guys weren't even real cops. Just some power-tripping HOA losers trying to scare me off my own property. And guess what? The real cops showed up later and handed them a fine for impersonation. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So let me break it down for you. How my peaceful lawn mowing session turned into a full-blown reality TV drama, complete with fake badges, a screaming HOA Karen, and the sweet, sweet taste of karma. Buckle up, because this story's wilder than a Florida Man headline. Now, diving deeper into the scene. The so-called officers had these cheap-looking badges, like something from a Halloween store, and their walkie-talkies? Totally off, just plastic toys. One of them kept adjusting his belt like he was in a bad cop movie, while the other tried to sound all official, saying, "We've had complaints about excessive noise and improper lawn maintenance." Excessive noise? From a lawnmower? At 2 p.m.? I swear, I almost laughed in their faces. But then they dropped the bomb. "You need to pay a $500 fine immediately, or we'll escalate this." That's when my spidey senses tingled. Since when do cops collect fines on the spot? In cash? Oh no, honey. I played along, though, asked for their names and precinct. They stuttered. Then I casually mentioned, "Funny, my brother's a sheriff in this county. Let me call him real quick." Their faces? Priceless. One literally dropped his badge. That's when I knew. These clowns were about to get a one-way ticket to Consequences Town. Building suspense. 10 minutes later, sirens. Real cops rolled up, and oh boy, the HOA guys turned whiter than my freshly mowed grass. The actual officers took one look at the imposters and went, "Y'all aren't even wearing the right uniforms." Turns out, the HOA had hired these security contractors to patrol the neighborhood and enforce rules, but they'd crossed a major line pretending to be law enforcement. The real cops cuffed them right there on my lawn, best lawnmower audience ever, by the way. And then came the cherry on top. The HOA president screeching up in her minivan, yelling, "This is a misunderstanding." Ma'am, no. This is FAFO. By the end of the day, the HOA had to issue a public apology. The fake cops got slapped with fines, and I got a standing ovation from my neighbors. Moral of the story? Don't let your HOA bully you. Sometimes, karma comes with a side of handcuffs. Alright, so where were we? Oh right. The HOA's epic meltdown after their fake cops stunt backfired spectacularly. But here's what they didn't tell you. This wasn't their first rodeo. Oh no, these HOA tyrants had been terrorizing our neighborhood for years with their ridiculous power trips, and my little lawnmower rebellion was about to expose all their dirty secrets. See, after the fake cops got busted, I started digging. Turns out our HOA president, Karen, yes, her real name I swear, had been charging homeowners for violations that didn't even exist in the bylaws. We're talking $200 fines for leaving garbage cans out 5 minutes too long, $500 for unauthorized patio furniture, even though it was just a damn lawn chair. And get this, someone actually got fined because their kid's lemonade stand didn't have a permit. I kid you not. So I did what any sane person would do. I called an emergency meeting and walked in armed with 3 years' worth of their own bogus violation notices, the county's actual property laws, and a Starbucks venti latte, because this was about to be a bloodbath. The moment Karen saw me setting up my laptop, her face did this twitchy thing, like she just smelled something rotten. "This meeting is about community standards," she sniffed, adjusting her rhinestone-studded glasses like some kind of suburban supervillain. "Not personal grievances." Oh, honey, I thought, wiping the smirk off my face, this isn't personal, this is war. And when I projected their own financial records showing how violation fines had mysteriously doubled last year, with zero improvements to the neighborhood, even her loyal board members started side-eyeing her. The room got so quiet you could hear Karen's acrylic nails tapping nervously. Then came a mic drop. "So Karen," I said sweetly, sliding a copy of state fraud statutes across the table. "Which should we discuss first? The fake cops, the phantom fines, or should I just call that investigative reporter who's been blowing up my phone since yesterday?" Cue the collective gasp from every middle-aged busybody in that room. By the end of the night, Karen was voluntarily stepping down pending review. 3 board members quit on the spot, and the rest? They couldn't vote fast enough to refund every bogus fine from the past 2 years. But here's the twist. While we were celebrating our David versus Goliath win at the local diner, guess who came storming in? Oh, you better believe Karen had one last pathetic card to play. That certified letter I mentioned? Buckle up, Buttercup, because this is where our little HOA rebellion turned into a full-blown legal earthquake that's still sending shockwaves through neighborhoods nationwide. The letter wasn't from another angry HOA board member. It was from the State Attorney General's office, and the first line made me spit out my coffee. The State of California versus Lakeside Terrace Homeowners Association. Turns out our viral rebellion had caught the attention of lawmakers who'd been waiting years for a case like ours to crack down on abusive HOAs. The AG's investigators had secretly been building a case against our HOA for years, documenting how they'd illegally fined residents nearly $2 million in bogus violations while lining board members' pockets with administrative fees. But here's the twist that made my head explode. Karen and her cronies weren't just power-hungry busybodies. They were running an elaborate scam where they'd target vulnerable homeowners, especially elderly and immigrant families, knowing they wouldn't fight back. The AG's office had evidence they'd even created fake violations to force out residents, so their developer friends could flip the properties. I became plaintiff number 1 in what's now being called the most important property rights case in decades, testifying before state senators while news cameras flashed. The courtroom drama was better than any Netflix series. Karen showing up in a designer pantsuit trying to play victim, only to have the judge read aloud her text messages bragging about teaching those homeowners a lesson. But the real mic drop moment? When the AG played security footage of board members laughing while shredding resident appeals. The gasps in that courtroom could have powered a wind farm. By the trial's end, our HOA was dissolved. Karen faced criminal charges, bye-bye beach house, and every fined resident got triple their money back. But the craziest part? Our case sparked copycat lawsuits in 27 states, and next month, I'm testifying before Congress about nationwide HOA reform. Oh, and about that lake cabin where this all started? The new Owners Association, made up of us rebels, voted to make my lawn mowing incident an annual holiday called Fake Cop Day, complete with costume contests and a Karen Piñata. But just when I thought this saga was over, my phone rang with a call that would take this story to Hollywood. That phone call? None other than a big-time Netflix producer who'd been following our HOA drama like it was the next Tiger King, except with more lawn gnomes and fewer felonies. Well, except for Karen's. At first, I thought it was a prank. Me? On Netflix? But then the producer hit me with, "We want to make your story into a dark comedy series, and we're thinking Amy Poehler as Karen." Cue me screaming into a pillow for 5 straight minutes. Suddenly, I was flying to LA first class, baby. Sitting in a fancy studio office where they served avocado toast that cost more than my old HOA fines. The writer's room had already dreamt up the wildest plot twists, like a secret underground HOA alliance that controlled half the state's neighborhoods, which honestly wouldn't even surprise me at this point. But here's where things got really surreal. Karen somehow caught wind of the project and threatened to sue for defamation, until Netflix's lawyers shut her down with one email pointing out that truth is an absolute defense. The audacity of this woman. Meanwhile, my DMs were flooded with other HOA horror stories. One lady in Florida had been fined because her cat was loitering on her own porch, and a guy in Texas got a violation for having 2 patriotic Christmas lights. The Netflix team ate this up, weaving these insane real-life tales into the show. But just as we were about to start filming, the unthinkable happened. Karen, desperate to stay relevant, sold her story to a rival streaming service, promising her side of events. Suddenly, our little neighborhood war became the biggest entertainment showdown of the year. Netflix versus Hulu, David versus Goliath. Round 2. And y'all, the trailer they dropped? Karen in full dramatic makeup, clutching a clipboard like it was the Holy Grail, whispering to the camera, "They called me a villain, but the truth will mow them down." I nearly choked on my popcorn. The internet exploded, memes, reaction videos, even SNL did a skit. But nothing prepared me for what happened when both shows premiered on the same night. Picture this. Premiere night, my entire neighborhood gathered in my backyard with a giant projector screen, popcorn buckets the size of small children, and enough nervous energy to power Times Square. Because tonight wasn't just about TV. This was revenge served streaming. On the left screen, Netflix's HOA Nightmare, starring Amy Poehler chewing scenery as Karen with a clipboard-shaped scepter, nailing that perfect blend of terrifying and hilarious. On the right, Hulu's Karen's Side, featuring a dramatically aged-up Karen, complete with gray streaks. The makeup department clearly had too much fun with playing the misunderstood community hero. The whiplash between both versions was more extreme than my HOA's mood swings. One scene showed me as the plucky homeowner hero exposing corruption. The other painted me as some anarchist mastermind who weaponized lawn care. But the real magic happened when both shows dropped their third episode cliffhangers simultaneously. Netflix revealed Karen's secret real estate deals with developers, while Hulu's version showed her feeding stray kittens. The internet lost its collective mind. TikTok detectives started finding plot holes in Karen's version. Twitter Spaces debated for 14 hours straight, and even the White House press secretary was asked about it. She said no comment, while clearly hiding a smirk. Then came the ratings. Netflix crushed Hulu by 8 million views. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. Karen's performance was so unintentionally campy that she became an overnight meme queen, getting invited to reality shows and even landing a cameo in a Marvel movie as a villainous bureaucrat. Meanwhile, our little neighborhood became a tourist hotspot. Bus tours pointing out the famous lawn, influencers doing TikTok dances where the fake cops got arrested, and someone even started selling fake Cop Day merch that's now backordered until 2024. But just when we thought this circus couldn't get crazier, I got a call that would change everything. The FBI wanted to talk about Karen's offshore accounts, and they needed my help to bring down an even bigger target, the national HOA lobby that had been pulling strings in Washington for decades. That call from the FBI wasn't just about Karen. It blew open a conspiracy so big it made our Netflix drama look like a children's bedtime story. Special Agent Rodriguez sat me down in a sleek government office that somehow smelled exactly like my middle school principal's office, and dropped the bomb. Our HOA case was just the tip of a nationwide iceberg. Turns out, over 40% of HOAs across America were funneling illegal violation fees through shell companies to fund political campaigns. And the mastermind was none other than the National HOA Alliance's CEO, Richard Bancroft III, a silver-haired wolf in Brooks Brothers clothing who'd been dubbed the Puppet Master by investigators. The FBI had wiretaps of him bragging about owning 3 state senators and text messages showing how they strategically targeted minority neighborhoods. My hands shook flipping through the evidence. Here was a man who vacationed in the Bahamas while single moms in Texas lost their homes over $200 in fake grass height violations. Agent Rodriguez slid a folder toward me. "We need you to wear a wire to the National HOA Convention in Las Vegas. You're the only one they won't suspect." Cue me doing the most dramatic double take of my life. The plan? Pose as a reformed rebel, giving a speech about community harmony while secretly recording Bancroft's inner circle. What followed was the most stressful week of my life. FBI mic taped to my chest, undercover agents posing as camera crew, and me practicing my I love HOAs now face in the mirror like I was preparing for the Oscars. The convention was a dystopian nightmare of golf polos and PowerPoints about maintaining aesthetic purity. But Bancroft's keynote speech made my blood run cold. Smiling like a benevolent dictator, he unveiled Operation Clean Sweep, a new AI system that would use drone surveillance to automatically fine homeowners for violations. The crowd erupted in applause as he joked, "No more messy human enforcement." That's when I felt the nudge from my cameraman. It was time. Walking up to Bancroft at the champagne reception, I hit him with my Oscar-worthy performance. "Mr. Bancroft, your speech changed my life. How can I help this movement?" His eyes lit up like I was a shiny new revenue stream. As he leaned in to whisper the real plan, his hot breath smelling of expensive scotch and corruption, the wire captured every damning word. "The AI is just phase one. Wait until you see what we're doing with eminent domain." The second those words left his lips, the FBI stormed in. But Bancroft's reaction wasn't what anyone expected. Bancroft didn't panic when the FBI stormed in. He laughed. A deep, bone-chilling chuckle, like a Bond villain who'd already won. Then, with a slow smirk, he pulled out his phone and tapped a button. Suddenly, every screen in the convention hall lit up with a single document. Federal Contract NH 4826. Homeland Security Partnership. The room fell dead silent. "You think this is some backwater scam?" Bancroft sneered, adjusting his cufflinks like he hadn't just dropped a grenade on the entire investigation. "We've been contracted by the government since 2018 to surveil neighborhoods for suspicious activity. Those fines? Pocket change compared to what they pay us to flag anomalies." My blood turned to ice. Agent Rodriguez's face went pale. He knew it was true. Bancroft's AI wasn't just about lawn violations. It was a backdoor for mass surveillance, testing tech that could track everything from unpermitted barbecue grills to political yard signs. And the worst part? Our tax dollars funded it. The FBI agents hesitated, radios crackling with confused orders from D.C., while Bancroft strolled toward the exit like he owned the place. But then, boom, the doors burst open again, and in marched a squad of actual U.S. Marshals with a warrant so fresh the ink was practically wet. Turns out, while Bancroft was busy playing spy games, a whistleblower from his own team had handed the DOJ years of encrypted files proving he'd been blackmailing politicians with the data. The Marshals cuffed him mid-monologue, "You'll regret." And as they perp-walked him past me, he locked eyes with me and hissed, "This isn't over." Cue the biggest media frenzy yet. Congress launched hearings. Hashtag HOA surveillance trended globally. And suddenly I was testifying before the Senate beside AOC and a very pissed-off Rand Paul. But just when we thought justice was served, my phone buzzed with a notification from my home security system. The camera feed showed a shadowy figure slipping an envelope under my door with a familiar HOA logo. Inside, a single line, "You should have stayed out of the HOA business." And beneath it, a photo of my lake cabin taken that morning. With shaking hands, I called Agent Rodriguez, but the moment he answered, I heard it in his voice. Something was wrong. "Stay where you are," he ordered, but the line crackled with tension. Then came the sound of screeching tires outside my house. I peeked through the blinds just in time to see a black SUV with government plates roll up. Except when the agents stepped out, their badges were slightly off, their posture too stiff. My stomach dropped. These weren't FBI. And then it hit me. Bancroft's warning wasn't empty. He had people everywhere, maybe even inside law enforcement. I bolted to the back door just as the agents kicked in front, their radios blaring garbled commands. Heart pounding, I dove into the woods behind my cabin like some suburban Jason Bourne, branches whipping at my face, while behind me, flashlights cut through the trees. That's when my phone buzzed, a block number. The text? Coordinates and 2 words. Run. Trust no one. I didn't have time to think. I sprinted toward the lake, where my neighbor's old fishing boat was tied up, and paddled into the darkness just as shouts erupted on shore. Hours later, soaked and shivering, I washed up at a deserted marina and found a burner phone taped under a bench. When I powered it on, a single video file autoplayed, and what I saw made my blood run colder than the lake water. Agent Rodriguez, tied to a chair, his face bruised, whispering. They're not just surveilling neighborhoods, they're weaponizing HOA rules to push people out. Bancroft's clients? Billionaires buying up entire towns. The video cut to drone footage of my own street, except half the houses were now empty, their doors marked with red X's. Then the screen flickered to a document titled Project Clean Slate, a plan to use fake HOA violations to force out middle-class families, so developers could rebuild the areas as luxury compounds. And at the bottom, a list of targeted zip codes, including mine. But the real gut punch came last. As the video ended, a distorted voice hissed, "You should have taken the Netflix money and quit while you were ahead." The screen went black, then lit up with a live feed of my own living room, where one of the fake agents was calmly sipping my coffee. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about HOAs anymore. This was a war for entire neighborhoods, and I'd accidentally become the enemy's biggest threat. With the live feed of that imposter in my house taunting me, something inside me snapped, not in fear, but in pure, unfiltered rage. I wasn't just fighting for my home anymore. I was fighting for every family Bancroft system had bullied, every senior citizen fined into poverty, every kid whose lemonade stand got shut down by some power-hungry HOA tyrant. So I did what any reasonable, totally not terrified person would do. I went full guerrilla journalist. Using the burner phone, I live-streamed to 3 million followers. Yes, my TikTok blew up mid-manhunt, exposing Project Clean Slate with shaky cam footage of me sneaking back into my own neighborhood like I was in some dystopian heist movie. "See these X's on doors?" I whispered, zooming in on the markings. "These aren't violations, they're eviction notices." The internet lost it. Within hours, hashtag HO Rebellion was trending. Protesters swarmed Bancroft's offices, and, get this, real FBI agents, verified this time, raided the National HOA Alliance headquarters. But Bancroft's final move? A last-ditch smear campaign, leaking edited clips to paint me as the conspiracy theorist. Too bad he didn't count on my secret weapon. Karen. Yep, that Karen. Turns out getting betrayed by Bancroft's goons flipped her allegiance harder than a pancake at Sunday brunch. She stormed into my livestream holding a USB drive of all his illegal deals, screaming, "He made US scam our own neighbors." The crowd went wild. The feds arrested Bancroft mid-fleeing to his private jet. Cue the perfect meme of him tripping over his own designer luggage. Congress fast-tracked the HOA Accountability Act. And, plot twist, the government banned AI-driven violation systems nationwide. As for me, I got a book deal, a lifetime supply of fake Cop Day merch, and the sweetest revenge of all. My HOA-free lake cabin is now a historic landmark for community activism. Oh, and Karen? She runs a support group for reformed HOA board members. But the real victory? Every time I mow my lawn now, I do it extra loud just for fun.